Body Slam Super Pro Wrestling, released for the Intellivision in 1988. That title seems a bit excessive, doesn't it? You could have called it Body Slam or Super Pro Wrestling, and would have gotten the point across. Anyway, the Intellivision, or Intelligent Television to you, was a competitor system to the Atari 2600. Like the Sega Master System, I don't know anyone who owned one, but it has a fervent fan following, all of whom will now send me very angry emails. The system had one of the funkiest controllers ever. This phone-looking thing with a 10-digit keypad, a disc for movement, plus more buttons on the side. I honestly expected nothing when I started playing this game, but surprisingly deep and way ahead of its time. You start up Body Slam, and the first thing after the intro screen is the game gives you a choice between singles and tag team matches. Every other game from the 80s we've covered featured either singles matches or tag team wrestling, but never both. I think this is the first game to offer the two options, beating out WrestleMania Challenge by 2 years. The downside is there's no championship mode. Nothing where you have to beat everyone else to win the title. Just exhibition matches. Which is too bad, but the game adds replayability in other ways. You can select one or two players, and annoyingly, you have to hit the 2 on the second controller to play against a computer, even if you're by yourself. You can also simulate matches with a computer and learn its strategy, according to the instruction manual. Then you have to choose your skill level out of 6 options. Beginner, Amateur, Rookie, Veteran, Professional, and Super Pro. Aren't beginner, amateur, and rookie basically the same thing? Shouldn't veteran come after professional? These rankings aren't about difficulty. They serve another purpose. More on that in a second. Now you get to choose your wrestler. Since this is an unlicensed game, you get plenty of wacky characters, including Dr. Payne, Chief Big Thunder, Mr. Ugly, complete with a bag on his head, the Sheik of Slam, Hulk Hogan stand-in Beach Bum Barney, Vic Vicious, Baron Von Thud of the Von Thud dynasty, Gorgeous Gordon, Jack Hammer, presumably not the Memphis guy, Judge Injury, which is a pretty good name, Handsome Killing Machine Rambo, and Barf the Caveman. I don't want to know about that last one. They give you everyone's height and weight, but they're not just random statistics. The taller you are, the more it hurts your opponent when you slam them. And the heavier you are, the more it hurts when you land on your opponent, although you move slower than a lighter wrestler. By the way, the shortest wrestler in the game is 6'1". 80s wrestling. You'll notice some other stats under your wrestler. ST stands for strength, CO for coordination, and EG for ego. Couldn't they just spell out ego? It's only one more letter. Well, the stronger you are, the more your strikes hurt. The more coordinated you are, the easier it is to win grapples. And the bigger the ego, the more you stop to pose after moves, which has the benefit of gaining you stamina, but also leaves you open to attack. By the way, Mr. Ugly, amazingly, doesn't have the lowest ego in the game. That goes to Dr. Payne, which makes me wonder where he went to medical school. And if this all sounds like deep gameplay, it's even more so than you'd think, because you actually get to choose your wrestler's moves, unheard of at the time. This is where the skill setting comes into play. The higher the skill setting, the more moves in your repertoire. If you choose beginner, you get 4 moves. Amateur gets you 5, all the way up to 9 for Super Pro. So it's a good way to balance difficulty against another player or the computer. And there aren't set kind of moves to pick. You don't pick 2 strikes, 4 grapples, and 1 running move, for example. Your entire repertoire can be grapple moves if your wrestler is more coordinated, or you can load up on running moves, or present a balance attack. There's a nice variety of moves too. Body slams, brainbusters, backbreakers, plus defensive moves like the possum roll and mega leap. The downside is in tag mode, you have to choose the same moves for both members of the team, which is kinda lame, but it does add a bit of strategy, since you have to come up with a moveset compatible for both members of your team. Start a match and you see your wrestler make an entrance, which is cool. Basically, you get into the proper position and press the digit on the controller that corresponds to the move. Given how crazy the controller is, the game doesn't handle that badly. I never had a problem pulling off moves or getting my wrestler into the position I wanted. And since I'm the one who programmed the moves, I've never had a problem forgetting what digit corresponded to what move. One interesting note is you can actually bounce off the top and bottom ropes. In all these other 2D games from the time, you can only use the left and right ones. And the top and bottom ropes may as well be concrete walls. You see numbers for both your stamina, or energy, and your opponent's. The goal is to knock your opponent's stamina down to 0 and score the pin. The game works on the round system, like World of Sport, which is a little funky, but it does add an element of urgency, especially when you're trying to score a pin just before the round ends and your opponent gets some energy back. The game is pretty ugly, with roughly Atari level graphics that weren't going to cut it in 1988. I think you're wrestling in front of a crowd, but maybe those are trees and this is a backyard wrestling game. Or even better, it's a DDT game. There are some nice graphical touches, like Judge Injury's powdered wig and Baron Von Thudd's monocle, but they also made the wrestlers really garish colors. I guess you could tell who was who. Which is fine, but when you use Dr. Payne, he looks like a Smurf wrestling game. Sounds are mostly bloops and bleeps with a staticky sound whenever someone lands on the mat. You do see little word bubbles from the wrestlers, with great thoughts like grr and ow. I'm expecting nothing from this game, but it's actually pretty fun. If it had levels of customization we wouldn't see in another game for years. There were some nicer graphics, maybe a few more options. It would be one of the most celebrated games of its time. It's actually featured on the Intellivision Lives compilation that was released for the original Xbox a few years back, so you can check it out, though I can't vouch for how the game plays on an Xbox controller. Oh, that's it for now. Till next time, thanks for watching, and remember, the winner is you.